In your yoga practice, do you sometimes come to the yoga mat and you're not sure what you're going to do? My dad, bless his heart, always drilled into our heads. You have to make a plan and work the plan. The funny thing was, he never seemed to have a plan. Everything was very spontaneous. But I certainly remember his teaching. So it occurred to me that every time we come to the mat, rather than just doing anything you feel like, it's really good to have a plan. And that plan could be about an aspect of your body. Maybe you're working on shoulders or hips or ankles, whatever it is. Maybe there's some yoga pose that you feel like you've just got to keep on working at until you feel like you've got it. Or possibly it's working on the breath or meditation. Whatever it is for you, make a plan, work the plan. In this practice, I'm working a plan, and that plan is to draw my practice into these poses that haven't done for quite some time, actually. And they're not that hard, but I just have avoided them in practice. And after having an injury for several years, my plan was to work on therapeutic actions to recover from this accident. And I got stuck. And so this plan just has me draw out just slightly into those poses that I haven't done for some time. So please join me in the practice. You may want to use blocks for the practice. We'll begin standing. Stand tall. Take hold of your right wrist with your left hand. Reach over to the side and step your right big toe to the right side. Just give yourself a nice stretch to the side to lengthen through the right side. Inhale, rise up. Take hold of your left wrist. Spread your left fingers. Reach over to the side. Step your left big toe to the side. And just allow a nice resistance with your left arm. Left arm is pulling out, pulling away from the right hand that's reaching the left hand to the right side. So strong action of the arms as you draw to the side. Come back to the center position. Take hold of your right wrist again. Reach over to the left side. Step your right foot to the side. Now see if you can just playfully lift up the right leg. Get a nice balanced action. You can tap it down. Maybe you can do the stretch and the balance in one pose. And release your right foot down. Take hold of the left wrist with the right hand. Step your left foot to the side and reach over. And see how the balance is on this side. Again, you can feel free to tap the foot to keep your balance as you reach over. And park your left foot down. Release your hands. Spread your wings. Lift your baby fingers up taller than your thumbs. Inhale, take your arms up. Now twist to the right and just reach your arms out. Inhale. Come back to center and twist to the left and back to center. Now twist to the right and see if you can keep your left hip from coming forward. Inhale, rise up. And exhale, twist to the left without the right thigh coming forward, the right hip coming forward. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, release your hands. Now step wide on your mat. And as you step wide on your mat, turn your right toes out. Bend your right knee. I've been doing Parsvakonasana, the side angle stretch, with my forearm down to the top of the thigh for a long time now as I work this injury. But I'm going to see if I can go a little bit further today. Can you take your right hand to the floor or maybe to a block, to the outside of the ankle. Lift your underside ribs up. Lift your left arm up. Reach your left arm over your head. Palm is facing down. The back foot is feeling really strong, rooting down very firmly. So as you root down through the back foot, inhale, lift yourself out of the pose. Release your hands. On the opposite side, I'm going to see if I can come all the way down to my fingertips. So turn your right toes in, turn your left toes out, and let's see how we do. Bend your knee. So you have many options in this pose. You can take your forearm down, you can take your hand to the block, or hand all the way to the floor. Lift your arms up first. Take your left hand down, maybe all the way to the floor. Lift your underside ribs up. Lift your arm up. Reach your right hand over your head. And enjoy this nice stretch. Keep the breath really full and bright. Lift your heart slightly. Inhale, come out of the pose. Exhale, release your hands. Turn your right toes in, your left toes out. Bend your knee again. So this time we're going to get a little assistance to open up just a little bit more in that pose. So from Virabhadrasana 2, take your hand all the way either to the block or to the floor. Now take your left hand and see if you can just lift up your underside ribs so that you find that you're working more of a rotation of the spine. From there, reach your left arm up and over, and invite your breath to be so full. Root down through the back foot to lift yourself up and out of the pose. Release your hands, come to the opposite side, bend your left knee, draw your hand down to whatever feels comfortable for you. With your left hand down, take your right hand to your underside ribs and lift the underside ribs up. So you're rotating the spine nicely. Keep your back leg strong. Take your right arm up and reach over. You've got this plan. You're working the plan through your practice. You feel like you're really making some progress here when you've got a plan and you stick to it. Root down to come out of the pose. Release your hands and parallel your feet. Heel toe your feet in toward each other. Step to the front of the mat. At the front of the mat, stand tall. Inhale, take your arms up and slightly back. Exhale, take your hands alongside your ankles and step back to downward facing dog. Now, downward facing dog is a pose that I know most of us do every single practice. So see if we can change it up just slightly here. Take your right ankle to above your left knee. Bend your left knee and reach your right knee just a little bit further back so that you can get this nice hip opening in your downward facing dog. Now release your right foot and just hook the heel of the left foot. So you're putting a little weight on your left heel and you're just working this plan. You're just trying to refine the action by having a little help of stretching the back side of the left leg with the hook of your toes. Your right toes just help you lengthen out here. Release your right foot. Draw your left knee toward your heart and just take the left ankle to the outer right knee. Now bend your right knee. See if you can reach the left knee away from your armpit. It's like sucirandrasana, when you just get this nice opening of the pelvis, just reaching it just a little further. Now, see if you can free your left leg, but hook the Achilles tendon area, just at the back of the heel there,
of the right leg and just press down. So notice how just this extra assistance from the left leg just allows you to get just a different feeling in the stretch. Now release your left foot, come to a plank position, and lower yourself to the mat. When we do Salambhasana with the palms facing down, we're really working the back muscles nicely to strengthen the muscles that support the spine. See about lifting your hands up this time, interlacing your fingers, and then lift up. Reach your interlaced fingers back. Now slowly draw down. Do that 2 more times. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, draw down. 1 more. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, down. Release your hands. Come to all fours position. In all fours position, step your right foot right between your hands. Now, for some of us, a little padding on the back knee is always helpful in this because we'll be lifting up the back foot, and sometimes that's a lot of pressure on the knee. So balance yourself first before you lift up your back foot. You can hold on to the back foot, getting a nice thigh stretch here. Just get this nice openness to the chest. Lift your right arm up. Get this nice fullness in the front body. In this variation of Eka Pada Rajakopatasana number 2. You can release your hand down. Come to all fours position. And if you'd like a little padding for the opposite leg, you can place that. As you step your left foot forward, balance yourself first. In your own time, you can lift up your right foot, hold on to the right foot. It's got this nice openness in the chest. Draw your right heel a little bit closer to your buttocks. Nice opening of the pelvic area. Nice stretch to your quad. And as you're ready, you can release your hand down. Come back to downward facing dog. And in downward facing dog, come to a shorter version of downward facing dog with your feet as wide apart as your mat is. So you've got a shorter stance from your feet to your hands. Let's do another rotation of spine. Take your right hand somewhere to the outside of the left leg. Bend your right elbow. Release your right hand to the mat. Take your left hand somewhere to the outside of the right leg. Draw your left elbow down toward the mat. Allow your breath to just be drawn to a deeper place here. Deeper rotation. And release your hand. Now step your feet to your hands. Place your hands to your low back and rise up. So let's put a few of those things together. It's always nice to combine the physical focus that you're attending to in a practice to building up to a pose. And the pose I'd like to build up to right now is a standing pose called Parvrtta Parsvakonasana. I might do a little variation. So lift your back heel up slightly, and this will just make this a little bit more accessible to you. So with the back heel just slightly lifted, back leg stays strong and straight. Bend your right knee. Reach your left arm up And in the same way that we did before, can you take your hand to the outside of the right knee? Now, if you want a block for that, it just makes the pose a little bit more accessible. So the back heel is still reaching back, the front knee is bent, you're rotating the spine. You might even want to lift up the right arm and reach it over. And inhale, come out of the pose. Let's come to the opposite side. And I like using the block. It's up to you. And if going outside the ankle is not working for you, then take the hand to the inside. So bend the front knee, the left knee. And I'm lifting up the back heel just slightly. So I'm able to rotate the spine just a little bit more with the back heel lifted. With the front knee bent, take your right arm up and reach your right arm forward and down to the outside of the left ankle. Turn your heart, reach your left arm up, reach your arm over your head, and just come to nice fullness in your breath before releasing and coming out of the pose. Let's make our way to a seated pose now. In the seated pose, let's do one of my favorite poses to open the hips, which is agnistambhasana. So we've already done several hip openers, but as you lift your right heel up, you'll kind of feel the right hip wanting to lift too, but see if you can keep the right sit bone on the mat and just move the baby, as it's called, baby cradle pose. Move the baby, represented by your foot at the head. Keep your foot lifted and just move side to side. And if you're rocking a baby, you don't want to rock it too fast, but this is just helping you just to open the pelvis really nicely. Now release your right foot down. Let's come to the opposite side now. So take your left foot up. Again, see if you can lift the foot high. Now some people can take this ankle really close to the heart. And others of us, we have our foot further away. Some people like to hook the shin bones and move side to side. You do what feels right for you today. Just keep on moving the foot side to side. Maybe you can go a little bit deeper in your movements. And as you're ready, you can release down. Now with the left shin bone parallel to the edge of the mat, take your right shin bone on top of this. Now for lots of us, the shins are not parallel. So how to deal with that? Well, if this is impossible for you and the knee is really high, you might want to extend your left leg forward. If you've got something that you can sit on to get a little height, use that. I've used my blocks so that I can urge now my right shin to get just a little bit more parallel to the left. This pose is called agnistambhasana, which means the fire log pose. And it's well named because you feel a little fire going on here. So as you come to this pose, maybe you can even come slightly forward in this pose. And you'll know what works for your body here. Just keep the legs very active. The baby toe side of the foot is really working against the mat on the lower leg and working against the upper thigh on the right leg. Now release yourself out of this pose to trade sides. So your right shin bone is going to be the bottom log in your fire, and the left leg is going to be lifted. And I've got my feet really active. One way to just make sure everything's very active is to push your hands right to the heels, and as the heels press into the hands and the hands resist, you can find a little bit more of an opening. And this is one of those poses that I've managed to avoid for quite some time because I've done all the work that I need, and it's time to put it right back into practice. I make a plan, and I'm going to work that plan to get this pose as part of my hip opening sequence. Now inhale and rise up, come out of the pose. Now come to lie down on your back. When you're lying down on your back, lift your feet up, spread your toes, lift your heels up nicely. You can take your arms in a cactus pose so the shoulders stay planted. Now move the legs as if they're a metronome. Keep your legs together and reach to the right. Come back to center. Come back to the left side. If you feel like there's no lumbar curve here, why not bend your knees so that you can get just a little bit more curve in the low back. Come back to the center. Reach over to the right, and you want to go really slow. As you reach the feet to the right, make sure your left shoulder stays on the mat. Come back to the center. Take your legs over to the left side. Keep hugging the legs in toward each other as you reach to the side. Come back to center. And one more cycle. Just drop over to one side before coming back to center and over to the left side and back to center. Now with your knees bent, plant your feet. With your feet together, take your knees wide apart. With the feet together, just draw your heels a little bit closer to your pelvis. Bend your elbows and press your elbows down. As you press your feet firmly in toward each other, lift your pelvis up. Just get this nice fullness in the chest. Keep pressing your head back. And slowly release your pelvis down. Release your arms. Have the palms turning toward the ceiling. Close your eyes. When you come to the mat, you make a plan for your practice and you work that practice plan. And that sense of accomplishment, the sense of growth in your practice, keeps you invigorated, keeps you steadfast in your practice. You breathe in through the nose. You breathe out long through the nose. you allow the weight of your legs, your pelvis, your arms, your shoulders to feel just completely supported by the earth. Breathe in deep and out long. Stay with a nice ease in the breath. A nice softness in your facial muscles. Breathe in through the nose and out long through the nose. Breathe in deep. Breathe out long. Breathe in deep. Breathe out long. Allow the breath now to just flow freely and naturally. Thank you for joining me in this practice. We make a plan and we work the plan. We come to the mat and we dive in to work the plan. Namaste.